Good. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Terrace Fundraising Committee. It's April 24th, and we have everybody here. We have quorum, so we're ready to proceed. I'll call the meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is just approval of the agenda. It was circulated last week. Is there anything to add or change? We'll proceed with what we have. So can I have a mover and seconder to approve the agenda? Jamie, Jim, all in favor? And that's carried. Next is the adoption of the minutes from our last meeting. That was circulated with the package. Are there any errors or omissions? Pretty good. So can I have, if there are nothing to change, mover and seconder? Oh, there you are. I said, I can see you. You're right here. I'm so used to looking at the screen. Amaryllis and seconder, Sarah, all in favor? And that's carried. Any disclosures of pecuniary interests or general nature thereof? Seeing none. We don't have any delegations and presentations today, so we can move right along to reports. And our first report from our Director of Financial Services, Jennifer.
Thank you, Madam Chair, through you to the committee. The last report was provided on March 20th, 2023. And at that time, the total funds raised were $314,757. As of April 22nd, the amount of funds raised after expenses totals $314,053. The total overall fundraising has decreased by $704 since the last report. And this is due to an invoice that was received late for the Warden's Gala. So we did backdate that to 2022, so it was in the right period. And an additional invoice for advertising. And there were no additional donations received during this period through the portal since the last report. And if there's any questions, I'd be happy.
Can I just ask, was 750 not turned in, or what was it?
$704 or $705 approximately there was an expense from last year's gala that was received late.
Okay.
For $500 approximately. And then we did have an expense for advertising in this period for about $205. So it just decreased a little bit.
And we resolved the last time we weren't sure about the $20,000 to see whether that was counted twice, but
that's resolved, yes. And I have that out of this report.
Yeah. Okay. So I think just to combine the two items in this section, 6.1, 6.2, I mentioned last time we had updated the catalog and the list of items. And what I have as the target, so if we're at 314, just pull up my sheet here. So the grand total target, I think, and Jennifer, for a future report, we're going to be targeting 560,000.
Okay.
And so if what approximately 315, so that again approximately would make our target to 245,000 is what we have
in this.
Yes, okay. We're gonna try, whether we want to say in 1 year since this committee got started again, so we could aim for next March. But there's nothing wrong with aiming to say we'll get it done by the end of this year. So obviously, as soon as we can.
I will update my spreadsheet for the next meeting, so then you'll have the percentage.
The percentage is perfect. And yeah, and as you may recall the discussion from our last meeting, the reason we're able to lower the target is because some of the items were, we were able to include some of the items in the redevelopment budget, and they didn't count as an enhancement. So that reduces the number of items that we need to fundraise for. Okay. So any other comments or questions? And I did create, well, we'll make sure because I'm not sure if we circulated the link after the meeting last week. So we do have a Google sheet that has the tracking of the catalog, and so you can see where all these numbers are coming from, the list of items that we can say have been, or they haven't been literally purchased, but we can say these, there are enough funds for those items. And here's the list of items that we still need to fundraise for. So that's, I want to make sure that's readily accessible. I also compiled all the remaining items into one list as a PDF so that we can post that on our website. And I can also circulate that so everybody can see what we're working toward. Questions or comments then on those two items? So that would be the donation update and the catalog list of items, including the updated fundraising target. Good. We'll receive the donation update. So mover and seconder to receive the report from Jennifer, Amaryllis, Jamie, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you.
You have to leave.
That's okay. We won't be offended. We appreciate it. We got to see you in person.
Yeah, that's great.
It's fantastic. Thank you.
We've had a city for 2 years together. Yeah, it's
I
the first time
know.
we've ever seen each other in person.
Oh my God.
Before this committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
true.
That's
We
great.
also are on a board of directors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's the West Island.
Oh, that's,
Yeah.
well, that's great. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's nice
Thank you,
to
Jennifer.
hear.
Okay, so we can move right along to business arising. One of the things we talked about at our last meeting was to continue with attending various events. And so the action item was to get a list of events, which I think was included in the agenda. So there's quite the menu to choose from. We can really see the difference from obviously from 2 years ago, but even from last year. So there are even more events that are returning. So as far as process, and don't know, I'm just here. In this list, do we have also, because I know some events have costs, right, or require
I don't.
registration costs. So that's something we can always investigate, but I'm wondering as far as process, some of you may recall from last year, we had put the list on the spreadsheet online so that everybody could go in and you could put the dates that you were available. And it wouldn't mean that you were committing to going to all those events. It would only mean, so it was just a way to know who's available. And then from there, so if we did that between now and our next meeting, then maybe we could prioritize which event, like even just based on availability. If there are lots of events that we're available for, then we could have a discussion and prioritize which ones are the, most strategic, which ones are, will give us the greatest return on that investment of time. Or any suggestion, Jim?
Well, there is an event coming up in Belmont a week from Saturday. The Swans are putting on at the Belmont Arena, the community event. And I never ever meet, I'm tied up with with our church and the historical society, so I'm not available, but if contact could be made, there could be an opportunity to be there. It's at the Belmont Arena and it's from 10 till 4, I believe it is. I can make some contact. I'm sorry, I never ever thought of being there, but this would be a good
And is
location.
that May the 6th?
Yes,
May 6th, and what's the event? You say?
I forget what the title of it is. It's the community.
So the optimists are going to be at it. It's essentially to let residents of Belmont know what community organizations are in the community so that they could, for the optimists, so we're looking for members
Yeah.
or individuals who have a need that the optimists could potentially fill. So it's like a
Yeah.
it's like a dating
Like, yeah,
for organizations.
speed dating.
Yes.
But
All
it
right.
might be a nice way to make connections to those
Yeah.
organizations, like we already have that connection to the Swans.
And especially if it's the Swans that are doing it
Mhm.
and we're already in that with them.
Well,
Oh,
this
this is the Belmont.
Belmont
Yeah.
Swans and.
Okay, I've never heard the Swans
that-
until.
Swans used to be the Lioness, and the Lioness had to change their affiliation. Is the short version.
Okay.
Right. The apolitical version. So would the idea, that would be for us to then go, we wouldn't have to be there for 10 to 4, like we would go meet different organizations?
Well, you're set up with a table and that,
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
we could have a table as well.
well, possibly. I'll have to check.
Okay.
I can,
Yeah, I'm not sure Janice McCollum was looking after it for the optimists.
okay.
Okay, so that we could be approached by other organizations who want to support us.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Or it's a community event, so their community members can come through and interact.
Yeah. Hmm. Okay.
I know I couldn't stay for the whole event because I have a child's birthday party in the afternoon, but I could go. Probably.
We first of all have to see if there's room for us.
If
to
there's
do
room,
that.
right.
So
Okay, so that's, can you?
I will,
Okay.
uh,
So you will,
yeah, I will make contact and I will get back to you tonight.
okay,
Okay,
that's great, and. might have
hopefully
some
before the Blue
availability.
Jays and the Maple Leafs are on.
Yeah, that's right, it's a busy night. Get all your chores done ahead of time. So in the event that it is a possibility, anybody else available? I think I might be able to go for a couple of hours. In 6. Yeah. So I think I might be able to go too.
I have another event that
Yeah.
day that I need to be at.
On a Saturday?
Yeah, yeah,
My calendar with me.
yeah.
It's in Belmont, just
Yeah.
north of.
Yeah. I know where Belmont is. I know where the arena is.
I'll be working, so.
Yes. And Jim, do you know if you're available?
I'm pretty well tied up.
Oh, right, you're saying
Yeah.
with another event. Okay,
Yeah,
but we might be able.
and I just wish I had
Wendy-
thought of it earlier.
Yes, Wendy,
No, sir.
you're on mute.
I could be available to help you. I'm sorry I was late with everyone. My apologies and my disorganization right now.
No, I think at 4:30 just arrived really quickly. So that's great. Okay, so we'll find out from Jim and then at least between the 3 of us, maybe 4, we might be able to at least go for a little while. So that's great. Thank you for that, Jim. Any other events, like I said, process wise, because there's quite a list and I don't think we want to go through event by event to discuss, but I'm suggesting we start with availability and we'll send a link, and then you can each respond to availability and interest, and then we make a decision at our last meeting. Would that be okay? with everybody. The one thing I thought of was perhaps adding, I'm going to say business-related event, like chambers of commerce. Because I think if we look at our statistics, probably the donations are 50-50 between individuals and businesses. So I thought if there are events organized for businesses, I think there's like sometimes the after 5 or meetings where we could go meet businesses and make them aware that this campaign exists. And so I wonder if Jenna, through economic development, again, if we could get some help and if we could add to this list another category.
Okay.
And then we'll circulate that. Yeah, I think to go meet donors where they are and offer to make contacts, and then we can always offer to make presentations at their own board meetings or association meetings. Okay, so let's do that for the list of event. The Springfield, I should specify, Springfield Swans roast beef dinner, as you know, is coming up this Saturday. So this is very exciting. And I think this is a great example and a good model of how we can partner, because basically, yes, they're doing all the hard work of organizing this dinner, but collectively we've been able to participate and help sell tickets. So I think we, as of last week, we were sold out. So they've reached the maximum that they wanted to sell. So I think that's a really good model. And so a couple of things. So we would need some volunteers. So they ask maybe 2 shifts from 2 to 4:30. With the some of the prep work, and then between 4:30 and 7-ish, there's a drive-through is between 5 and 7. So just to help bag and maybe be outside as well, like to hand the meals out to the cars. And I think it's a great way to greet our donors in a way. And I'm certainly planning on having our flag, you know, like the flag that we have for the booth, and be there at least from 5 to 7. So 2 volunteers for the first shift and 2 volunteers for the second shift. That would be the ideal request. Jamie.
I can do the second shift.
Yeah,
So the first one.
yeah.
I
Do that.
So
that's a bit of a
we can do the whole thing. All right, double shift.
My kids like basketball, I'm like.
So you wanna pick up stuff.
There from that to there.
Okay, so Amaryllis, you said
2 to 4:30.
2 to 4:30. Perfect. We'll do the directions. It's at the Malahide Community Place.
Okay.
There's one big kitchen. You'll find. And you said the second shift, 4:30 to 7. Sarah's double shift. So 2 to 7. And yeah, I'll be there. I can do like 4 to 7. 3:30. I mean, I'm coming back from Toronto. Anybody else want to join in the fun? Wendy, sorry.
I can help out. I'm going over to pick up meals anyway, so.
Yeah, so hang out for a little longer. Perfect.
Okay.
Do you know what time you want to come? You want to come?
It doesn't matter. Whatever you want, I can be there.
Okay, maybe I'll suggest, so what do we have? Sarah, you said 2, yeah, I would say probably the later shift, it might get busier, so the 4:30 to 7. Okay, fantastic. The other thing I should mention, they also have organized an auction, and it's live, but only until tomorrow. So you can go, it's on Facebook. So I think you can You can just search on Facebook for the Springfield Swans and you'll see the online auction, and proceeds are going to Terrace Lodge as well. So thank you. We've been able, again, with the help of committee members, we've been able to contribute a few items. So that's great. And apparently that's going really, really well also. So should be all good news to report at our next meeting. And like I said, I think this is a great example of, like, as a committee, I don't think we can take on organizing a full event like this, but to partner and say, what can we do for you? We can sell the tickets, we can volunteer at the event, we can gather items for the auction. So this can be something that we can pitch at if we get a table at the Belmont Swans community meet. Great. So the next item, the clarification. So they were, last meeting, we were brainstorming ideas and strategies for fundraising, and I think, what was it called? Pass the Ace or something, and Chase the Ace. And a couple of other suggestions came up, but I think those fall under sort of lottery. And one of the action item was to clarify. So Jenna, I think you had a chance to.
So we tried to do this before previously when we wanted to have a raffle.
Right.
And so Allison at the Township of Malahide confirmed that we aren't eligible for a lottery license because we are under a municipality.
Right. Okay.
So we're a committee of council.
Right. Okay. So thank you for confirming that. So that means that we as a committee can't organize a lottery or a raffle or any of those sort of. So that's as Amaryllis is whispering in my ears, but I think that's another reminder, the same way service clubs can organize a lottery and do an auction, fire departments.
If they're not for profit, if they're registered not
Yeah,
for
if
profit.
they're registered.
Fire department can.
So fire departments can apparently. So I think the idea would be, so between all of us, if again, if you're connected to any departments or clubs or organizations who are in a position to run this kind of lottery, we could offer to help and partner with them and see what opportunities there might be. So I'll any questions or comments or further ideas around that. So yeah, I think, I mean, watching other organizations, as you know, the hospital, the foundation, the St. Thomas Hospital has I think has a lottery, or they do 50-50.
They do 50-50.
Almost every week, I think, or once a month. And so again, those are good ideas. They seem to be working well. So we would just need a partner to be partnering with an organization who can organize those. And I also wanted to take the opportunity to clarify, because it did come up early on in the campaign, we clarified for service clubs that we were an eligible recipient of I'm going to say the lottery funds, like from Jackpot. Yes. So that was something that, depending who you talk to, there's still some pushback and some corners where he said, no, you don't qualify. We can't, you don't qualify as a recipient. But that is something we have an email sort of trail of correspondence between the director of finance and CRA. And so we have clarified that. So if you do get approached by other organizations to say, oh, we have Jackpot City funds and we would like to perhaps, donate some for the Terrace Lodge fundraising campaign, we do qualify to be a recipient. So. Okay. So another idea that came up at the last meeting was the animal display. So Jamie, you had a chance to look into that. Do you want to tell us a little bit more what you found out?
You have one date here. It's actually a 3-day.
It's
event.
3-day, okay.
So it's Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And it's on Woollyville line. So if you don't know where that is, if you drive through Elmer to Summers Corners and you turn left and you turn right at the first road, that's where it is. So the educational animal display is, it's like a zoo. And Velma Shepherd is the owner, and she is very much a supporter of long-term care. When she brings her animals to long-term care events, and she always gives the homes a discount when she does come. So when I approached her, she was more than happy to allow us to have a table at no charge. Most of the tables there do have a fee. There's about 30 vendors at this event, plus there's activities for the children to do, and people wander around the grounds and look at the animals. So they have a really good turnout. This is the first time that they're doing it on the long weekend. It's usually the weekend following, but they expect to have quite a few people there. So I cannot do the Saturday as usual, but I'm more than willing to do the Sunday.
Okay, so that would be so the 19th to the 21st is the Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
No, Saturday, Sunday, Monday.
Oh, Monday, because it's a long weekend.
Yes.
So the 20th to the 22nd.
And we don't need to be there the whole time if you choose not to, but there'll be a spot for us. The only thing that she requests is because there's buckets everywhere for donations to the facility, that we have our donations marked very clearly that it's for us.
Nice. Okay. Thoughts? I don't know. That was not captured in I think in the list of events. So any immediate thoughts or interests that appear to be a good fit? Do we have anyone available for, again, we don't have to be there the entire time. We can just go when we're available.
I could go on Saturday.
Yeah,
Yeah. What times are they?
you know.
I'll have to confirm that. I'm sure that 10 o'clock is in my head, but I will confirm it
Okay,
because
okay.
I think I passed it along and then I forgot about it. So
Okay.
I will contact her
Okay.
and confirm the time.
I'll have to check my schedule, but
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll add it to the list of events on the sheet, and then we'll confirm the times. But it sounds like it would be worthwhile. Yeah, I might be able to do. If I have the kit with me, I can always do like a first shift and then the last a few hours if we want to be there on Monday and then just.
And we're also
Yeah.
welcome to walk around the grounds. So we don't have to stay at our table. Like there's more than one of us.
Yeah,
We can feel free to walk around and talk to people
yeah,
away from the table.
yeah.
We don't have to just sit there. So
Okay. Looking at maybe Ashley and Michelle, I don't know if you have any suggestions. No, last year, like that, something that would kind of go with the sort of animal therapy and support. I think last year we had brought the mechanical or electronic cat, which was in a couple of events. That was a nice attraction for the people, a good conversation starter. And so I don't know if there's anything else that you want to suggest for that event that kind of could be, we could do the same thing, but I don't know if there are other conversation starters that relate to that event.
Yeah, what we can do is ask at one of our upcoming managers meeting. We have them weekly on Wednesdays, so I'll put it on the agenda and we'll get back to you.
Nice.
I think Jenna might still have one of the.
I do still have the cat in my office.
Yeah, because we have a number of them across the home. So maybe switch it up to one of the seals or something, but just because it's more of like a zoo theme, right? So, but yeah, we'll have some discussion on our end and see what we can come up with and keep you posted.
Perfect. Thank you. And yeah, and any, sometimes like, if there's any literature or pamphlets or that, talk about the value of those items and why we want to purchase more of those items and sort of linked to that kind of activity.
Actually, it's a good thing you mentioned that, because we actually we purchased the seal with some funding that we received from the ministry Pero, and we actually did a video. It was at one of our sister homes and just showed the value of the residents and the interactions with these robotic pets, and it's pretty amazing video. So we could, I'm not sure if you've got the ability to have a tablet or an iPad and you wouldn't want to walk away from that, but if there was an internet connection, that it's a really amazing video, and it's maybe 3 minutes long or something, just to, if somebody wanted to see that. But Tanya may also have, actually, I think we have an article that got posted too. So let me do some digging on that piece
Okay.
and get back to you.
Great.
Oh, my thought was, we ask for utensils. And I don't know how many times I've explained why these utensils are not the wooden spoon you buy at the dollar store. So if we could have some items that are on our list that people would think are just ordinary items, so that they could see why they cost what they do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, is that something we can follow up with you, Ashley, or with Tanya, like to have examples? And I think, I don't know if it was for a grant application, but Tanya may have also prepared some blurbs around the therapy that goes with that. And even if the residents are not themselves involved, like specifically with the cooking or the baking activity, that they're still, they still participate indirectly, and the whole comfort of, the sight and smell and touch of being involved with baking and cooking. So if we could have maybe a little flyer that talks to that, and maybe a couple examples of those items. Yes, good
Yeah,
idea.
I think people will understand that the need for commercial grade equipment rather than.
Yeah, but you have to explain it.
Right,
Because when they first see it on there, they're like, what the heck? And then as soon as you start to explain it, then they're like, oh, but it's not just that it's commercial grade, it's that it's larger handles and things like
Yes.
that. So.
Okay. So something to describe, yeah, the dollar value, and in terms of what we want, and the therapeutic and value. Okay. Yeah, and I think this year we can, maybe that's one way to enhance our booth, is to have maybe specific flyers with information related to some of the items that, so that would, and so we can have a list of the catalog items, and then a couple of examples or photos. And so I think that's a great idea. We'll make the, again, having conversation and make it very concrete and clear. Okay. Okay, so thanks for looking into that. So we'll confirm attendance, and Jamie, you'll confirm the times, right?
Yeah, I sent her a text already.
Okay, perfect.
Waiting for a response.
Okay, so that will probably kickstart our event attending this year. So I don't think we need any resolutions for that. So yes, so I think that that segues already into what we talked about. Like, I wanted to see if the committee has any ideas, and at least to plant the seed to maybe think about ways to make the table a bit more, I said interactive, but just, I think what we just talked about would already have more conversation starters. But I was, as you go to other shows or other events, like if we can all look for ideas that brings people to the table, and so we can have the conversations. And
I was gonna say, I know that having Curie there with her tattoos helped
Yes.
a lot at the fair.
Yes.
I don't know if we can get her to do it again, but I'll ask her. And, but whenever her and I are at the booth, we also have a tray of beads and strings, and the kids can make bracelets while we talk to their parents. It makes the kids stay a little longer, gives you longer to talk to the kids. So it's something that has nothing to do with our campaign, but it does keep them there longer.
Hmm.
She also, what else did she have? She had beads one time, and another time she just had this little box of treasures that just little toys and things. So the kids are looking through the toys and we're talking to the parents. So
Mhm.
I like the idea of having a video, because everybody likes to watch things.
Yes.
And then it's a segue into a conversation.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
depends on the power supply.
Yes.
I wonder if we could also have the video that we, of the phase one that we've got.
Yes.
the facility, yeah, that would be
Yes,
great.
yes, yes.
Probably
Yeah.
need to do an updated one. There's been a lot of change, but
Yeah, no, that would be great. I know I got some good feedback when we sent it out to previous donors, and people thought that was fun to actually see that, this is happening. Yeah, so let's think about that further and look at, so as I said, if you go to other events, I think as far as the power supply, I think it really varies from event to event. But I could see when there is a power supply, like even having a screen. So still, easy to maneuver for us as we set up the booth. We have to just to transport, but
It doesn't have to be a big screen. Just
right.
A computer, a laptop sitting there with it.
Yeah. So yeah, enough that, you can sort of see it from afar and then want to sort of exactly to draw them in. So maybe, yeah, so let's look into that to see what's reasonable to transport. Even if there's something just a little bigger than the laptop, but we're not talking like, giant screen, but the computer monitor might be, might be a really great idea. Good addition to the table. Cool. The other idea I wanted to float is we talked about events, but also I've been noticing now that the weather is a bit nicer, noticing tables at various stores. So, when you come out and say, you'd like to make a donation to, Cancer Society or, so we don't have to decide today, but I would love your ideas on different stores where you think it would make sense, if obviously in partnership with the store owner, if we could set a table on traffic. So on a weekend or an evening. If you have
Liquor store, the beer store.
Yeah, exactly.
They seem to do very well.
Garden center and
Yes.
yeah, so if there are things especially that have maybe a connection with some of the items we're trying to raise, so there's still some item for outdoor.
Maybe HB, the meat shop.
Yes, HB meats.
Because it's summertime and yeah, so they're not open Sundays, but they're there Saturdays.
So I'd like to put that as another action item for all of us to then think about which store near you and that you may be willing. Wendy?
I wondered about farmers markets.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's the one in Aylmer now, that's every week, St. Thomas. So let's add those. And usually there's a fee, but if we can get a bit of return on that investment, it might be worthwhile. But yeah, so the idea would be to come up with the list and because I wanted to gauge that with events that, maybe being considerate of our time, but maybe do some events, but combine that with, like we said, maybe with business events and with stores that, peak busyness of grocery stores, hardware stores, garden centers. So we could always, depending on your ideas, then if by all means, if you can even ask, some stores might be open to that, some may not. Because I'm sure we wouldn't be the only ones asking, and some may already have some rules and parameters as to what they agree to do. But yeah, so if we can come back for next meeting with some suggestions and of stores, and ideally if you've talked to them already and you found out if they would be willing to have us be at the door.
Just to add to that, I think we spoke briefly last year about point of sale roundup.
Yes.
Have we ever, did we have anyone interested in doing point of sale?
I sent it to Independent, and I talked to Kim. I told her I was sending it. I even got her individual email, and I never heard back from her. So
And it's limited where you can really do that sale, because
Yeah.
clearly closer to the facility is better.
Yeah.
But maybe there's somewhere in Belmont or that area. I don't know.
Brian's No Frills in Aylmer often does the, donation
Right.
at the till. They have organizations with tables outside. I think the Shriners and firemen I've seen outside of their grocery store. So they seem to already have a model in place where that is facilitated.
Right, because we did something similar for the playground for the students at our local grocery store, and it was quite successful. It was just a roundup. Like we did, like to round it up to the next dollar. So it worked quite well.
So let's pick that up in our closed meeting portion so we can discuss, specific contacts and then strategize, and because it is something that we talked about before, and just we wrapped up the committee and the campaign last time,
Right.
and now I think we're ready to re-enter those conversations. I think it would be worthwhile. Great, thank you for reminding us of that. Okay, so we'll come up with the list of stores, and the same, something I mentioned already in the earlier section is other partnership with service clubs. I think the partnership with the Springfield Swans is showing how that can work, where there's, it really is a partnership where we contribute and everybody contributes to the best of their capacity and skills. So if you, and again, in your area, if you want to contact other organizations or service clubs and offer that as a model and say, oh, I see that you're organizing euchre tournament, and could we partner with you? And then so we can help you run it, we can help sell tickets, and then the proceeds, could be considered as a donation to Terrace Lodge. So we let them do what they're best at, and then we offer to pitch in. Okay, so let's keep an eye out for that. I think that should get us going for the next little while. Any other business? Anything else that we should be working on right now?
I just had that, there were action items from the last meeting. I did make contact with 98.1, and without cash, the one thing they can do, they can start tomorrow, as long as we get them the information, is putting it on their community calendar. So any events that support us, anything, and my friend said, you send it to me and I'll have it on there tomorrow. So we just kind of need to know what we want to put on. And then if we have other events, like, for example, had we needed some advertising for the roast beef dinner, they would have put that on the calendar and said the proceeds were going. So we can access that, and I have that contact information, which I'll share. The other one is I do have the contact for MyFM as well. I just want to make sure that I get the messaging the way that you want it. Jenna did share a letter that had been used previously. So I think just a little bit of tweak so that they would actually maybe give us an opportunity to speak on air. You, not us.
Or any of us.
Yeah, anybody, but yes. So that'll just be maybe a bit of finessing what we want to say and what our ask is of their support, and they're tremendous community supporters. So for community events and so I think.
Yeah, I could see like if any of those partnerships, so let's say we do have a day of point of sale, like a roundup kind of thing, and then we would let them know and say, okay, this weekend, go to such and such a store because. Right. So I could see and
so a 98.1 has a big reach because they're Blackburn. So that's a big media reach.
Nice.
And then the MyFM is local.
Yes. Yes, and you're right, they're very supportive, so.
They certainly are. So I've got those contacts, and we'll have to maybe make time to hash that out.
Yeah, see what the message.
But I mean, that letter, it's really good, and it just needs to pull out specific information, just and add and subtract. Yeah, it's a good template. Thank you.
Good, and thank you for the follow-up on that. I know I didn't get a chance to contact DeBriggt, so that was on my to-do list. But yeah, we should do that too, and they've been quite supportive in, even translating some of our materials, and they can probably promote also the campaign as a whole and any events that we want them to promote. Hey, anything else? Any other business or any other actions that we missed? I think, Ashley, you confirmed that June was in fact Seniors Abuse Prevention Month, or did I get that right?
Yeah, I think it previously had been Seniors Abuse Prevention Month, but now I think the government has an initiative to just make it Seniors Month in June. Right. So, yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so that's confirmed. So again, we can see if we can capitalize on that and maybe set up one of those and be at different stores and promote that it's Seniors Month and the needs of our residents at Terrace Lodge. Perfect. Okay. I don't think there was any correspondence I'm aware of. Okay. So can we move into our closed session then? I have a mover and seconder to move into closed session. Amaryllis, Sarah, all in favor? Carried. We're good to go. Okay, can I have a motion to rise and report? Jamie? Jim, all in favor? And that's carried. So is there a resolution? There was no report in the closed session, so there's no resolution to pass. Okay, making sure. So then the date of our next meeting. Did this work out well for this time? As
I'm late.
You're late for your.
I have to be somewhere at 6:30.
Okay.
Back in Elmer.
Great. Well, thank you. For everybody else, because I know that the time has been a challenge to try to accommodate everybody. So how's
That was
this?
fine with me.
Yeah.
It was good as a rainy day.
Yes, as long as it's a rainy day. 4:30 if it's rainy.
It works fine for me.
yeah.
It's probably great for the staff, so they're not here.
Yeah,
until-
it's a lot easier than a 7 o'clock
Mhm.
meeting. So why don't we try this again then? And I think that
And
this,
4 o'clock's too early.
yeah,
Unfortunately, I couldn't get here. I mean, you could start without me. But yeah, I could not get here from Dutton.
Okay, so the educational animal display, May 20, 21st, 22nd, 10 till 5.
10 to 5, okay.
That's what I thought it was, but. I
Yep,
wanted to
yep.
be sure.
Tell people that I can't go.
Yeah, we can promote it. So a month from now,
And I sent the Springfield Swans or the Belmont Swans info to your messenger.
oh, perfect. Okay, so then we'll share that. Oh, yes, thank you.
Not make a phone call before I leave to somebody I know to see if there might be space available.
At the
Yeah.
event,
Yeah.
yes, wonderful. So what date is a month from now? That, if it's a Monday, that might be the long weekend, right? So do we want to do the Monday after?
The 29th?
And I'm not here.
I can't do the 29th.
What if we did the Tuesday at 4:30? No,
No.
no. As I said that, I was like, no, that's,
Oh, that's
I
my
could
day
do
at the
the
hospital.
21st at 5.
what if we met the week before? So since we do have quite a bit of, like we want to get organized for the rest of the spring and summer.
I can do the.
So we could do the 15th. So it's a bit of a shorter turnaround time, but
I can do
since
that.
we have quite a few things to try to organize. Okay,
15th?
15th at 4:30. Perfect.
May.
May 15th.
Maybe.
Okay, and we'll send a recap since there were a few action items that we want to do within the next 3 weeks. And come back with, to make decisions on the 15th of May. So I'll make sure we send a recap of all of our tasks. Okay? If we're all set then, I'll do a motion to adjourn. Jim? Kate? All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you so much. Thank you, Wendy and Ashley, Michelle. Always appreciate.
Thank you. Great meeting. Nice to see everyone.